All right, so there are some observations that I have made throughout the years of being what they call a gamer. That whole word is like, it's kind of a cringe word, a gamer. It's become a meme. It's also got a lot of stigma attached to it. I really don't like stigma. It kind of smells weird, tastes bad. Anyway, what we're talking about today is the culture of gaming and the politics, inevitably. So if that's not something you're into and you're going to get upset by this, you can leave. But this is not so much about particular issues, just as it is the broader culture and tendency of gamers that I've observed. So I kind of recognize this from an early age that, Let's Players, for example, on YouTube, this was kind of my first exposure to the broader discussion of gaming culture. I noticed a lot of these tended to be liberal. Like every major Let's Player that I can think of is a lib. And more broadly, I then kind of noticed that also most corporations are liberal. And then even more broadly, I noticed that most celebrities and musicians are also liberal. Now, that may or may not be the case now. Things are somewhat changing now, but I think growing up, this was kind of like I observed this as like this weird hive mind mentality. I was like, why is everyone thinking the same about all of this stuff? It was very strange to me. And for a little bit of a little background on this, like I've always been Christian and leaned conservative. And so it's just been very off-putting to me that all the things I like, everyone thinks differently. See, the problem is not just that other people think differently than I do. I get that. That's not the point. My point here is everyone thinks the same. Everyone thinks the same in this whole industry, it seems like. Everybody on Discord has their pronouns in their bio. Everybody is preaching the same talking points. And it's so pushy and annoying and off-putting to people who are not that it's like, am I even welcome here? That's the question. I don't mind that people think differently. I don't mind that people have different opinions. But some of these issues are deeply rooted in worldview, and it is basically gamers are basically atheist nihilists across the board, and that works out in their politics. I'm not saying everyone. The question I'm posing here is, are there other people like me in this field, in this interest? Because it seems like everyone just thinks the same, and if you don't think the way that everyone else thinks, then you're the weirdo and you're not supposed to be here. That's kind of how I've interpreted things, and I could be interpreting things wrong. That's partly why I'm making this video, to see if there's anyone else who does think like me about these things. I lived in Nashville for a few years. I couldn't go to GameStop without there being pride flags. Like I was just trying to go, get my Super Duper Mario, and there's gay flags everywhere. I'm like, what? When did Mario turn gay? Many companies do kind of pander to this woke crowd, like Naughty Dog, and even Nintendo. Nintendo's been pushing trans stuff in Zelda. There's that character in Breath of the Wild where you have to cross-dress in order to get into the town. Paper Mario, I know that was originally technically in the Japanese translation, but there were some other translation issues in that game as well. And, think what you will about those things. Personally, I don't think it's a good idea to inject your body full of drugs and cut off your pee-pee to make the head voice go away. I know that's kind of a controversial opinion in this community, but I don't really care. That's my take. So, what I'm getting at with this is it's very arrogant of these companies, because they're they're assuming that everyone is like them, when in reality they're not. In reality, they're actually alienating a large swath of the population. I don't know if you have, ever looked at, for example, like we're just talking about America here. If you've ever looked at an electoral map of America, but without the state lines, where it's just counties, that is a little bit more indicative of how most of America thinks. And these companies are in those little blue spots, and they're trying to get everyone to think the way that they think, but it's obviously not working. So this kind of causes me to question, is gaming intrinsically a liberal thing? Are people who think differently not allowed to enjoy games? Do these companies not want my money? Do they just not care? Even now, most gaming influencers online, it's frustrating because there's so many gaming channels that I want to enjoy, but these people, they just can't stop talking about politics. They can't stop talking about their political beliefs. It's almost as if it were a religion to them. I don't care what they think. This is why I can't watch most of these channels. It's just so frustrating because I'm like, I'm just here to enjoy games. If I wanted to hear about politics, I would go listen to a politics podcast. That's what I would do. I would go to something. I would seek it out, not seek out games and then be evangelized to liberalism. So what I've learned from this more broadly is that worldview is unavoidable. It comes out very quickly, regardless of the subject at hand, whether it's gaming or movies or culture or books, etc. It's inescapable. Worldview is going to come out because it's how we live, it's our convictions, it's everything, and it comes out in everything. So this is, not to go on a whole other diatribe, but this is the whole issue with the idea of the separation of church and state. People are going to have those values regardless, whether they're left or right, whether they're traditionally religious or politically religious or new age or whatever. Everyone's religious. It's going to come out in some way. So there really is no separation so much as there is which worldviews are permitted and which worldviews are state sanctioned. That's the real question. So I'm going to go ahead and just be completely honest. I am not going to be the opposite of these people, like they're liberal, so I'm going to be conservative, because I have plenty of criticisms of the right as well, okay? So namely, the current push for transhumanism and technocracy and anti-free speech laws. I'm not a fan of those things, but they're happening on the right, even though I'm generally more aligned with people on the right. So this is not a political channel, but again, like I mentioned before, I understand that metaphysics and morality invariably come up in most conversations because they are deeply ingrained into the way that we see the world and the way that we act in the world. So I'm not going to really be talking about those things super often, but when it is relevant, when it is inevitable given the subject matter, I'm going to defer to a Christian paradigm, not an atheist liberal worldview that I don't hold and I believe to be false. So this has kind of led me to where I am now, and I wanted to posit the question to people: what do you think? Have you experienced this? Are you maybe you're not a lib and you want to enjoy games and you feel like alienated because everyone around you thinks a certain way and you don't? Or maybe you are a lib, but you're like maybe less political and maybe you don't really care about politics and you just don't want to hear that every time you go like watch some reviewer talk about Zelda and the virtues of cross-dressing in Zelda and all that crap. Like, I don't know. Is there anyone else out there like me? That's really the point of this episode, because I feel I currently feel and have felt very alienated by the gaming quote unquote community. And, I'm not like a zealot. Like, they can have their views. I'll disagree with them. They can have their views or whatever, but it's just frustrating to me when it's so preachy and out there and annoying and in everything. I think this is more broadly like the issue of the over politicization of everything, because it doesn't seem to matter where you stand. Everything is politicized in some way. And that's why we have the alternative markets and economies and stuff that are, you've got liberal companies and conservative companies, and you've got red America and blue America. And it's not sustainable. It's not agree to disagree. It's stuff that, like, it's a different worldview. It's a different way of life. It cuts to the core of who people are. And anyway, I'm rambling at this point. I don't really know if I've articulated myself well in this. These are just my thoughts. If there's anybody else out there, I'd like to know. If there's anybody else out there like me, I'd like to know. I'd like to make some friends that are not, that are on the same page about things as me. And or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe gaming as a culture is by definition liberal and attached to all these other things, and I just need to let that go, because that's not who I am. I don't know. What do you think? Am I wrong? Am I a crazy person? Am I just whining? You can tell me in the comments. I've got plenty of other things to discuss, so this is just one of those things that I wanted to get out there. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next one.